In 2010, the original NieR was released for PS3 and Xbox 360. Given that the game initially starred a teenage male, pressure from the Square Enix's American branch led to the creation of a grizzled dad character that would take the role in the Western version of the game. This wasn't a bad thing by any means, as practically everyone who played or watched the game loved the grizzled papa. The overall reception for the title was middling, but it was a cult hit, similar to all the other titles Yoko Taro has directed. NieR Replicant version 1.22474 for 87139 Continued, developed by Toy Logic and published by Square Enix, sees the original story hit consoles 11 years after its initial release, and finally gives the West the chance to experience the teenage protagonist's version of the adventure. 1.22474 for 87139 Continued, according to Yoko Taro, means nothing, but it's also the square root of 1.5. So it might be a nod to his calling the game a version upgrade? Who can say? Anyway, from this point on, I'm just going to say NieR Replicant and revert to the original as just the original to alleviate any possible confusion.
This woman is more trouble than she's worth.
NieR Replicant stars a teenage boy named NieR, about 1,500 years after what looks like the end of the world. He lives in a small village and cares for his younger sister Yona. She's become afflicted with the Black Scroll, a magical illness that is unfortunately terminal. That's not going to stop our hero as he desperately hunts for any way he can to find a cure. After investigating an ancient shrine, he stumbles upon a magic book named Grimoire Weiss, whose very name, according to him at least, sends shivers down the spine of any kingdom who hears it. But first, he'll need to get his magic back, which is the root of all of his power. Further, according to the Song of the Ancients, doing so will give him the power to save the world. And so begins NieR's journey to find the sealed verses to get Weiss's power. Also, NieR can save Yona. This isn't all the main band though, as they'll rope in an intersex young woman with a penchant for killing named Kaine, as well as a boy named Emil, whose eyes are cursed to turn the things he sees into stone. Their writing, the development, the exploration of these characters, fantastic. I love this group of outcasts. They are precious and each interaction between them is a joy to witness. As you travel around the world, you'll come across ghostly ethereal creatures called shades. They are quite dangerous, and with few fighters in the village, you'll need to dispatch them directly. You can lock onto enemies and utilize 6 action buttons to help take them down. Aside from a dodge and a guard, you've got light and heavy attacks, each with their own associated combos. These can be charged up for fancier and more powerful hits, and alternated at will. The remaining 2 buttons are for the sealed verses of your choosing, powerful magic spells, and you can even pick magic over dodging and guarding if you so desire. There are 8 sealed verses to unleash hell with. The pods in NieR Automata function similarly to them if you've played that. Magic can be charged up while NieR moves, some slowing down time so you can set up your optimal movements, make fancy dodges, combos, and perform perfect strikes. Despite the button layouts being seemingly identical to the original game, combat has been completely rebuilt, with the help of several staff members from NieR Automata to ensure that the combat system is just as good as the sequels, if not better. It's fast, fluid, and full of depth and strategy, especially on the highest difficulty. Just slapping your enemy silly isn't going to cut it. You'll need to hit weak points, interrupt enemy movements, and break down their guards to maximize your damage output. Sidestepping, dash strikes, combining your magic with swords, with spears and greatswords adding to your arsenal later, everything has a use for abuse. If you are concerned about the complexity, then feel free to switch the difficulty to easy, and there's also an auto battle if you just don't want to deal with it. This is a very character-driven and story-heavy game with a very unique tone that I think many players inexperienced with this style of action game would be wanting to pick up. Normal is a good mix of challenge and ease though. The world of the original NieR was criticized for flavorless and lifeless environments, so the remake visuals are overhauled. The overworld is aesthetically as pleasing as you can make wide open plains and deserts be, but even without the overhaul, there are many level designs for variety, from side-scrolling platformer dungeons, industrial mazes, or even a town compiled almost entirely out of text adventures. The towns are more vibrant in the remake and have their brighter colors emphasized, making them stand out. Additionally, in this remake, every single NPC is voiced, which really helps the towns feel alive. The voice dialogue really helps the quests feel more interesting, as while some are incredibly good mood-setting gut punches, others serve little purpose outside of set pieces for the main characters to banter with each other about. You know, that's still pretty good. Only a few side quests though are actually mandatory for ending requirements, and they're fairly obvious once you spot them and know what the ending requirements actually are. If you need some cash for new weapons, items, upgrades, or just want a break from running and fighting, gardening and fishing are also available money-making options. NieR Replicant is referred to as a version upgrade because it recreates the entire game, not to provide players with like an entirely new experience, such as the Final Fantasy VII remake. Instead, this seems to be providing players with the best possible experience of the original source. The original cutscenes are largely identical, and they were already fantastic. They just have the benefit now of being backed by updated graphics, a re-recorded and extended soundtrack, and returning voice actors who have delivered incredible and fine-tuned performances 11 years after. The soundtrack is a marvel. It's full of emotional tracks that have somber undercurrents that make them feel that much more impactful even when things are dramatic and tense. And the delivery of all sorts of lines destroyed me in the best possible way. I should note there's even new content added in the form of new characters and side quests. The short story The Little Mermaid from the Grimoire NieR supplementary book, based on cut content from the original title, has now been added to the game proper and expanded. There is even a new ending added to round out the ones already there. It's all amazing! NieR Replicant version 1.22474487139 continued is a beautiful experience, and it's exactly how you should play this amazing game. Upon finishing, it's easy to say that this is unequivocally one of the best games I've ever played. This story emotionally moves players with the help of its character writing, intense action, and somber tones, making it very easy to immerse yourself in their world. Perhaps I did cry more than a few times, but were they tears of sadness or tears of joy? Good question. But you always feel a bit sad when a wonderful journey ends, don't you? Noisy Pixel is giving NieR Replicant version 1.22474487139 continued a 10 out of 10. Thank you guys so much for watching. Noisy Pixel is a group dedicated to bringing you guys the best news review previews and more. Please stick around and check out our constantly updated content.
Noisy Pixel.